Hi everyone, I'm Yuxi Chen. You can call me Melody. Today I'm going to talk about the 2020 Catherine bushfire in the Northern Territory. This is the first part of our group research. We mainly focus on what happened in the event and how communication could be improved the remote indigenous communities. So, what actually happened? In the dry season of 2020, a huge bushfire broke out near Catherine on indigenous land. Because of long droughts and extremely hot, the bushfire spread really fast and burned thousands of square kilometers. The Watkin region is culture burning early in the season and stopped the part of the fire. But still, large area of forest and wildlife habits were destroyed, and smoke caused many health problems. To understand the impacts, let's looking at the site context. Catherine is very remote with few firefighting and medical resources. That means response is always low. The centimeter is tropical, savanna, dry and hot from May to October. So bushfire risk is extremely high. The communities is mutilating goals and has low literacy. So writing warning are often not effectively. And during the fire, smoke created serious health issue, but there was no clean advice. With this mind, our research aim is clean. We want to explore how emergency response and communication design can work better in remote indigenous bushfire area. We focus on visual strategies, things like map, anchors, and colors. That can both prevent burning and health protections. Our audience is local residents, especially those with low literacy or who don't speak English, as well as children and first responders. And the big challenging are limited resources, slow information delivery, and how to connect indigenous knowledge with modern systems. The first key method we looked at in cultural burning. This is an indigenous practice of using low intensity fire early in the dry season to reduce fear. It helps prevent catastrophes, wildfires, and protects biodiversity. In 2020, the Watkin region used cultural burning and managed to slow the fire in some area. The second method is bushfire risk mapping. This combines winter vegetation, droughts, and wind data to predict where fire may spread. Maps like this help communities understand danger level, plan evacuation routes, and use resources more effectively. For a remote area like Catherine, risk mapping is especially important. The third method is low literary emergency communication. Many people in remote area can't read long, complex wording, so the message need to be visual first. Use icon, color, coded, attenders level. and simple keywords. This way, children, adult, and non-English speaker can understand and act quickly. Now, let's look at some real-world case. The first one is Australia Fire Dangers Rating System. It uses clean color and icons to show bushfire risk. This makes it easy for the public, including people with low literacy, to understand the dangerous level. The second case is the anti-house bushfire smoke guideline. It's simple visuals to explain how to stay safe from smoke. For example, staying indoors or wearing a mask. This design is very useful for non-English speakers and people with low literacy. The third case comes from California. They use infographics with drawing and icons to show evacuation routes, emergency kits, and family safety tips. This style is very child-friendly and help people understand quickly in a stressful situation. So, what have we learned? From our research, we have three key insights. Color-coded fire dangers icons make reads clean and fast to read. Visual health guidelines help people protect themselves from smoke. Child-friendly evacuation visuals improve safety for vulnerable group. These findings will guide the next step of our project, but we are still in the research stage. That's for my part. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Yuqiu Lang, and I will be talking about the environment research part of our project, focus on the climate, landform, vegetation, and fire risk in the Vatican indigenous protected areas in the North Territory. Vatican IPA sits on the eastern edge of Arnhem Plateau, right next to Kakadu National Park. It's a huge area, almost 1.4 million hectares. The landscape here is really dramatic. It's made up sandstone plateau, steep cliff, and deep canyons. Locals often call it rocky country. Because of all those elevation change, fire can behave in very unpredictable ways. Flame can move up cliffs very fast, really fast, and local winds can shift suddenly because of uneven terrain. So this kind of landform not only makes fire spread quickly, but also makes firefighting extremely difficult and dangerous. The main types of vegetation here are savanna woodlands, sandstone shrublands, and some small patches of monsoon rainforest hidden between rock and valleys. Those rocky areas are actually home to rare and threatened species, but they are also very sensitive to fire. During the late dry season, the grasses and shrubs dry out completely, becoming perfect fill. So the combination of high fuel load and difficult terrain make the risk of interest fire very high. Now let's look at the climate. The Northern Territory has a tropical monsoon climate, which means there are only two main seasons, a wet season from November to April, and a dry season from May to October. During the late dry season, especially from August to October, the weather becomes extremely hot and dry. Humidity drops, the wind picks up, and everything on the ground turns into fuel. In 2020, things was even worse. From January to November, both daytime and nighttime, temperature was way above average. Most of North Territory was in the top 10% hottest year since 1910. Even the night was warm than usual. which means that was no time for the land to cool down or the regions to moist, and the keep fire danger high all day and night. Okay, you can see here that most areas are showing the red. They are the hottest zone in the 2020. By August 2020, many parts of the NT issues catastrophic fire danger warnings. Because of the continued hard drought and dry wind, the hill region was uneducated. Vatican was its removed and rugged landscape was especially hard to access, so even small fire could turn into big disaster was very fast. Historically, Aboriginal people had a really small fire management system. They used controlled burning early in the dry city to prevent massive wildfire later on. But after the mid-1900s, when traditional practice was interactive, there was a lot of more uncontrolled later season fire. Since the 2000, integrated projects like Velva and Alpha have reintroduced mask burning, basically setting small, control fire in pitches to cut down fuel and keep the ecosystem healthy. Those programs have made a big differences, but 2020 shows us that climate extremely can still push the system to its limited. So overall, the main fire risk in Vatican in 2020 came from the first one, really hot dry weather, and the second one is very hard landscape, and the end is vulnerable environment. Okay, that's my part. Thank you, everyone.
Hello everyone, I'm Yixi Chen. Next, I will focus on analyzing the affected user group, the local indigenous community. Therefore, we need to understand their cultural background, practical needs, and their cooperative relationship with government agencies. The users I study are indigenous community living in the Vatican Indigenous Protected Area. This region is shared and managed traditional by 36 distinct indigenous clans. The Vatican Land Management Organization conducts daily operations across several remote communities, employing approximately 150 seasonal rangers annually. These rangers are responsible for fire management and land conservation. These communities are very remote, with most locations accessible only by helicopter or long walk. Community members speak multi-language, with Spanish Konwok being the primary tongue. Due to geographical isolation and limited educational resources, literacy rates remain generally low, and they are both affected by fire and serve as vital managers of land and ecosystem. Culturally, their fire management practices differ from modern firefighting systems. They employ a traditional method called culture burning, using small-scale, low-temperature fire ignited in the early seasons to prevent wildfire from spreading. For them, the land is not just a place to live but a spiritual connection to their ancestors. Therefore, protecting sacred sites and preserving cultural knowledge are vital in post-disaster reconstruction. During our research, we found that the Vatican community is highly multilingual, with language like Benin Konwok. However, literacy levels are generally low, and people are more used to learning through stories, oral communication, and visuals. This means written text alone isn't effective for sharing fire risk or emergency information. So, when designing communication tools, we can focus on icons, maps, colors, and simple arrows instead of long sentences. For example, using community boards, radio, or simple visual diagrams can clearly show fire direction, risk levels, or evacuation routes. This visual method makes the information easier to understand and ensure that everyone, no matter what language they speak, can participate in fire management. Besides communication, health issues are also a major concern for the Vatican community. During the dry season, bushfire smoke increases the risk of respiratory problems, especially for children, the elderly, and people with asthma. The smoke contains PM2.5 particles, which can enter the lungs and even the bloodstream, causing coughing, breathing difficulty, and eye irritation. That's why it advises using simple health information cards and visual materials for children to show how to wear masks, close windows, and find safe shelter. This easy-to-understand visual can help communities with lower literacy level protect themselves more effectively. Another key issue for the Vodkan community is limited firefighting resources. They need more support, such as vehicles, personnel, and clear seasonal signals to guide operations. At the same time, they are asking for simpler and more practical tools. For example, maps, basic safety gear, and task guide cards to help them work safely during fire events. From a management perspective, different countries have their own policies regarding indigenous-led fire practice. The Vodkan communities hope to play an active role in fire management, not to rely entirely on outside help, but to collaborate and share knowledge to strengthen their own capacity. At the political level, fire management in the Vodkan community involves three main organizations. First, Vodkan Ltd., an indigenous-led organization, is responsible for daily land patrols and burnings. Second, the government agency Bushfire Anti provide policies and training. And third, the non-profit organization ALFA supports the community through funding and carbon projects. However, this system also faces challenges such as limited resource and fragmented authority, making coordination difficult among different parties. The community hopes to remain self-led, but still relies on government funding and equipment. So the key challenge is finding a balance, how to maintain self-determination while working effectively with external partners. In conclusion, the cultural needs and political aspect all shape the future design direction. Culturally, information must respect local traditions and the ideas of country. In terms of needs, the multilingual and low literacy context means visual communication is more effective than text. Politicals, designs should work for both the community and the government. From these insights, we can have several design directions. First, the fire risk icons. Second, simple healthy guidelines. Third, portable toolkits, which can help the rangers to work. And finally, the children's education designs. In the end, the goal is not to help from outside, but to enable the Vodkan community to manage and protect their country in their own ways.